everyone and welcome. So next door are having their building work done. It might get in the way of this video. Sorry guys. But anyway, welcome back to my channel. My name's Rachel and I'm a classically trained musician based in the UK and I'm a huge Eurovision fan. And in light of this year's contest coming up in the next couple of months, anyway, I'm gonna have to do this later. So I'm back a few hours later and I have made sure that those builders have gone, best believe it. And when I was recording earlier, they managed to drill a hole through our wall. So I managed to catch that sound of the dust and debris and a really loud noise of a drill going through a neighbour's wall. But you know,
that's life, isn't it?
So what I'm here today for is to talk about 5 songs that I believe are considered Marmite entries. Now, if you're not from the UK or if you've never heard of this expression, if something is Marmite, it means people either love it or they hate it. And I've seen this consistently with people's rankings in the competition. So, for instance, somebody might have X, Y and Z entry at number 5 and others have put it at number 20 or number 30 out of 39. And talking about this, I just want to address the reasons why this is loved and hated, but also in terms of how it's going to fare in the competition. Will it qualify if it's not one of the big 5? But also, if it does qualify, how will it do on the night of the grand final? So I've made a little list again, and I just want to say thank you to everyone that tuned into my previous video. It really means a lot when people comment and like the video, and it's got a good response so far, so thank you everyone for tuning in, and please consider subscribing if you want to see more content. It really does mean a lot to me. Let's go. Number 1 here I've got is Sweden. Now I do want to talk about this in a bit of detail because Sweden consistently send really good quality pieces of music every year to Eurovision. They take it really seriously, and it's clear when you watch Melody Festivalen that they really care. They really do care. And that is translated into this year's entry, which is Voices by Tussa, and I hope I have pronounced that correctly.
Please don't hate me in the comments if that was wrong.
So their entry this year, it is a typical kind of Swedish pop song. It's not like what they had before with John Lundvik or the Mamas, which was gospel pop. This is much more kind of middle of the road pop, and I think that's why people have a split opinion on it. But what I've kind of tended to notice over the past couple of years with Sweden is that they absolutely bomb in the televote compared to what they're capable of getting, because the public genuinely does not like overly produced, polished acts. I think people tune into the contest because they like that kitsch novelty and they like kind of someone who's not perfect. People want to relate to something, and when they look at a slick, well-produced, well-rehearsed, I'm thinking of Robin Bengstrom, I think that's his name, from 2017. You know, the perfectly rehearsed, buff guys all on a treadmill, all moving, choreographed at the same time, and it sort of looked fantastic, but some people would look at that and think,
that's really over the top.
That's too much. It's like, you know, when he winks, there's like a little glimmer in his eye, or a little bell noise when he winks. That sort of thing, and that can really turn people off. And I think that is the case this year with Sweden as well, because you've got this really overproduced, almost well thought through piece of music, to the point where they've thrown in all these elements in there which they believe makes a good pop song. You've got the repetition,
A million voices,
which is so catchy, but it's also like, it's a total earworm, but it's so annoying as well. And I think the beat, the drum beat as well, is powerful statement type of drum beat, where like they usually use it when there's a message that's trying to be sent, like a powerful message. And I think people kind of they switch off in a way when they hear that type of thing. And I think, yeah, on that one side, people really don't like the song because of all those elements. And then also people really like the song because of the message. Firstly, it's got a great message and it's really well put together on stage, and he's got such a fantastic voice. The fact that he's 19 years old as well, he's so professional and slick, and he looks great, sings amazing, and I think people really do appreciate that. And I absolutely 100% have no doubt this is going to qualify and it's going to finish in the top 10. Maybe not top 10 with the public, but the juries could even put this as first place, to be honest, thinking about previous form that the juries have of putting Sweden first. But yeah, I think the people that hate it, maybe they hate it and it's a little bit too extreme. I don't think this is a type of entry that someone can hate. Maybe they could slightly dislike it. But the people who like the entry, I genuinely can see why they like it, and I'm not surprised one bit that they like it. What I'm going to do now is talk about the next entry, which is Russia. This is a really interesting one, guys. This is really interesting. And that's mainly because Russia has a tendency of sending Slavic looking people from the west of Russia, and they send European sounding piece of music, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what they have tended to do is not fully represent just how vast their country is in terms of wideness and all those time zones, all those different races and ethnicities from Russia. And what they've actually done this year is they're sending Manisha.
And I hope I've also pronounced that correctly.
And Manisha is from Tajikistan. Well, she's ethnically from Tajikistan. She was raised in Russia. And her song is basically a female empowerment song called Russian Woman, and its main purpose is to kind of big up Russian women, tell them they're strong enough, etc. She complains about sexist things that have been said to her, such as being told, why don't you have kids, you're nearly 30, that kind of thing, being told she needs to lose weight, to be thinner, and it's got such a great message. And I think after all of the years of the juries basically hating on Russia, regardless of whether the song is good or not, I think it could be the dawn of a new era because of the message of the song. If the juries are bothered to actually consider what the message of the song is, and the fact that they're sending a feminist and a non-Slavic woman and someone who's an LGBT rights activist, I think people will switch on and be like,
What's this? What's Russia sent? I like this.
Now I can see why people also don't like this song, because it is messy at times, and it kind of has a lot of moments where it's
Like, where is this going? It's sort of like unpredictable.
which I do like, but there's also times where I think,
Well, okay, I'm struggling to digest this all in one go.
and I've listened to it a good few times, while some people will be tuning in on the night and listening to it for the first time, and then they'd probably be thinking,
Oh my gosh, this is a hot mess.
so I don't know, we'll see what happens. It really is sort of unpredictable. I definitely think this will do well, it will qualify, but that is depending on the jury's reaction to it, whether they're able to kind of put to the side their long-standing prejudice against Russia and appreciate what they have actually sent this year and appreciate the lyrical content and the meaning and the message behind the song. That definitely is a Marmite entry. I've seen people put this dead last. I've also seen people put this in their top 5, so I guess we'll see what happens. I think it's important to also consider that Eurovision fans do have distinctive tastes, and we do not represent, we are not a microcosm of the rest of Europe who tune in one day in the year to Eurovision. It's just, We can't go by all what we think. We have to really consider what everyone else thinks too. Next, I've got the Netherlands. So this one is also kind of, I'd say it's more hated than loved, but I do see that people are loving this, and that is purely for the cultural elements and the ethnic elements of the song. The fact that Django McCroy is basically showing off his, I think it's Senegalese,
But please correct me if I'm wrong.
the Senegalese background that he comes from. He's sort of trying to bring this onto the Eurovision stage by having traditional drum beats, traditional melodies, and harmonies as well. So the backing singers they're all singing in unison in sort of chordal texture, and that's really interesting. I know people have been hating on this because he always sounds like he's saying,
"You aren't a broccoli."
instead of "you no mon broco me." I can see why people hear it wrong, and it is really silly. But I think also people have fallen in the trap of comparing this directly with Grow from last year, which is a completely different entry, completely different style, and I don't think it's fair to directly compare them. I see why people are doing it, but all in all, I do not think this is a good song. When you kind of bring everything together, put it in the context of Eurovision, it's just not good enough to stand out. In terms of, yeah, it will stand out because it's so different, but it's not going to stand out for being a good song or something that captures people's attention. They're like,
Oh, I like this. This sounds like something I would download on Spotify or add to a playlist or whatever.
it's nothing like that. It's too niche, and in a way that completely cuts out loads of an audience that may have connected to Grow last year compared to this year. It's definitely kind of shortchanged itself. So yes, I do see why people are not liking this song, and it is 100% Marmite in the contest, but I don't have high hopes for it, and my prediction is this will be a bottom 5 finish for the Netherlands. It is definitely a clear trajectory that they are improving year on year in the contest, but it's also clear that they don't want to win again this year. Whilst last year I feel like maybe they did want to win or come top 10 at least to kind of keep that power, but no, this year they definitely, I think they've spent too much money. The pandemic has not helped, and they're like, okay, we just need to send something mediocre so that we definitely don't win. They've done a United Kingdom, basically. Right, next I've got Bulgaria. I want to start off by saying that I definitely prefer this entry to last year. I did not really like last year's entry. If you watch one of my previous videos, I go into detail about why, but it was basically to do with the backing track. I didn't like the backing track. I absolutely loved her voice and I loved the song, just not the backing track. But anyway, this year is a definite improvement for me, and I really do appreciate the quality of this piece of music. It is so nice. It's like a warm bath when you listen to it, like a warm hug. It's absolutely brilliant. And when I played a little snippet of all the songs to my family who aren't really like Eurovision fans, this was the one they responded to the most. They kind of sat up and like,
Oh, what's this?
so we need to watch out for this one because people have written it off as not going to be the best result ever, but I do think this will be in the top 5, to be honest, because it is great. But in terms of love or hate, I think people are absolutely too in love with last year's entry, to the point where poor Victoria has sent something that is just as good, if not better, but people are so attached to last year's entry that they just written this one off, and there's no business doing that. You have to just forget about 2020 in a way, because it's like we're never going to hear that song on the stage. We have to focus on the song that she sent now. But the problem also is, and this is why it's Marmite, firstly, a lot of people don't really like a dark pop song. They don't like sort of what Billie Eilish does, and therefore that kind of turns them off when they listen to it. Also, I think she's got more of a soft vocal, and I think a lot of people do prefer a more powerful vocal like Destiny, or maybe something that's maybe not as powerful but more interesting like John's Tears. whilst this may turn people off a bit. And secondly, I think the song is also for the fans who were interested in the other songs in contention for Bulgaria, such as Imaginary Friend or Ugly Cry, which were far, far better choices. Victoria ended up going with the choice that she thought was best for her, which is absolutely fine. And I think that's why it's made it Marmite, because people were really, really attached to Imaginary Friend and wanted that one so badly to be chosen, and it just wasn't chosen. And I did see them kind of slip down in the betting odds as well because of that. I think we need to ignore the betting odds for the time being because it's just not really reflective of what is probably going to happen in the contest. But I do see why people don't like this song, and it's also, yeah, it is a little bit pretentious as well. I think it's very much aimed towards teenage girls. Nothing wrong with that, but you're kind of eliminating a lot of fan base as well, having specific lyrics that only a teenage girl could really relate to. Or a young girl like me. I'm not really a teenager at all, to be honest. So, yeah, the demographic that they're aiming for, they're cutting off a major audience of fans by basically pigeonholing the style and their target audience, and that's how you lose Eurovision, to be honest. Right, and then finally, number 5 is Italy. Now, this is actually my favourite song of the competition this year. It's totally the style that I would listen to on a daily basis. I love the band Franz Ferdinand, and this really does remind me of Franz Ferdinand, that kind of indie rock, glam rock reminiscent of the 70s. Really, really good stuff. But other people cannot stand this genre. Just a moment you whip out an electric guitar and have a whiny kind of crackly vocal, a very kind of expressive but loud and grovelly, that's just, you know, that's going to completely alienate people. They're not going to like this. And unfortunately, even though this is my number 1, it's my favourite entry of the year, I do think this is not going to win. It's because the genre is way too niche, and it's also extremely in your face. And I think some people don't like that kind of thing where you just like,
Whoa, this is loud, this is very aggressive.
So this is why it's totally Marmite, and I think out of all of these entries, this is the most Marmite one that I've seen on people's personal rankings. It's just been number 1 or number 39. It's just like the discrepancy of taste is so big. But it is one to watch out for, because if you think about Lordi winning in 2006, yeah, that did, you know, surprise a lot of people, but it also, that grabbed the attention of the viewers, and people really, really appreciated it. And then also I remember Finland's entry from 2014. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of the band. They're called Soft Engine. So the band Soft Engine, they also did really well in the competition. I think they came top 10. And then I remember Ukraine 2017. That wasn't really something that the fans liked, but it still did quite well. I don't think it came top 15, but it came the top of the right-hand side of the scoreboard, if you get me. So people do respond well to rock songs, but I do think this has been slightly rated too high by the bookmakers, and we need to watch out, because it's not Soldi. It's not like Soldi. This is kind of going to divide people's taste, and whether you absolutely love it or hate it, it's still going to do well, but it's just not going to win. So there we have it. That's the 5 songs who I think are the most totally Marmite of the competition this year. Please let me know what you think. I didn't put Finland on this list because I think I would just go on for too long, but could also be considered a Marmite entry, but I think that has slightly more appeal than Italy, because it's more obviously it's in English, but also it's slightly more catchy and easy to kind of pick up the melody and remember the lyrics. So yeah, tell me what you think and like the video, and if you want to see more content, subscribe, let me know in the comments. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.